After the forensics get a hold of this, it's gonna be more than just another case. It's gonna be motions of discovery. The prosecutor trying to smother him. The evidence was unsettling. Now welcome to the day of reckoning. Now hold up. After the forensics get a hold of this, it's gonna be more than just another case. It's gonna be motions of discovery. The prosecutor trying to smother him. The evidence was unsettling. Now welcome to the day of reckoning. What happened was
I was at the studio dropping tracks like I'm Coolio. The engineer gave my cue to go, so I went stupid. Then my they came walking through the door. I grabbed my 44. The next thing I know, my engineer was laying on the floor. A nigga got low. I put a couple rounds through the door.
Yes, sir. Welcome in, everybody. This is Community Crime Network by way of Big Business Podcast.
Yeah.
True Crime Edition, man. We simulcasting on both pages tonight.
Yeah,
I got
man.
my bro with me right here. White Jizzle.
We here with it. We're gonna see what's going on. Of course, you more fluent with the case and whatnot. But hey, I'm here to get my 2, my 3, and my 4 cent and ask the questions that need to be asked. Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun. Absolutely. I definitely appreciate you rocking out with me tonight. D-Love is in the building. And we're gonna get the show started with more news that needs to be addressed right now. Before we jump into the Sebastian Rogers case. We gonna get into it.
Yeah.
We want to touch on what's going on in Texas, and YJ gonna lead us off on that one. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in. So the latecomers, if they just want to hear about Sebastian, y'all will be right on time. So, but we think this is very important.
Yeah, man. We're gonna chop this up. This flood that happened in Guadalupe, just south of the Guadalupe River, in this camp. 700. You got 700 kids at this summer camp. It's an all-girls Christian academy or something. It's an all-girls camp. You know, I don't know the exact range of the ages, but these is kids, all kids. Let's get right into it. Let's get right into it, man. It's a lot going on. All right, let me make sure I turn it up. I'm on the screen. We good to go. I can do that.
If you were watching from far away, you might wonder if Texans along the Guadalupe River stood any chance at all.
There were campgrounds there were homes, there were people that were seemingly caught off guard.
The destruction had already been done before the warnings came out. It was almost every man for himself.
Headlines from the earliest days of deadly flash flooding pointed to an alarming lack of warning. The central question being, how could so many people have been caught so off guard? Was there any heads up at all that a major river was about to burst its banks? The Guadalupe River lies in a part of central and south Texas called Flash Flood Alley. It flows east, ending through San Antonio Bay on the Gulf Coast, but it's where the river starts, in a place called Kerr County, where most of the attention has been focused.
At least 82 people have died and more than 40 remain missing, including children.
River rose more than 20 feet, crashing into homes and swallowing roads, leaving people very little time to escape.
Some 400 first responders are now scouring the swollen Guadalupe River and its banks.
Now, there were warnings ahead of time, at least 3 of which have now been widely reported. So what explains the account from officials who sound like this?
Rest assured, no one knew this kind of flood was coming.
There's no expectation of a water wall of almost 30 feet high.
Let's try to understand what happened and when. It is true that predicting a major weather event with pinpoint accuracy is just really hard to do. And I'll show you what I mean, starting with the day before the flood.
This storm, this rain is expected to be going on until the night and into tomorrow.
That is a signal of localized flash flooding. in parts of our area.
For at least several days, most in the San Antonio region would have been well aware that flooding was a possibility, but welcome to Flash Flood Alley. And many forecasts were calling for just a few inches of rain, which is significant, but it's this much.
We had no reason to believe that this was going to be anything like what's happened here. None whatsoever.
It wasn't until late at night, 11:22 p.m., just hours before floodwaters hit, we would see this warning from the U.S. Office of Water Prediction. Rapid runoff is expected. Considerable flash and urban flash flooding is possible. The nocturnal timing will also enhance the hazard potential and impacts, meaning it'll be bad, in part because everyone's asleep. But even if you were awake, look how broad the so-called area of concern is. I mean, just San Antonio to Austin is more than 100 kilometers. This is a big area. Kerr County itself would get its first warning of life-threatening flash flooding at 1:14 in the morning. This would have triggered the emergency alert system and woken people out of bed, assuming you had weather alerts turned on in the first place, and assuming you didn't simply click the warning off and go back to bed, and assuming you had cell service in the first place.
There's a lot of areas, especially when weather comes in, where cellular towers are down or you already have bad service.
Among those communities where cell coverage might have been spotty was a place called Camp Mystic, an all-girls summer camp along the southern fork of the Guadalupe River. In the middle of the night, water rushed through the camp, ripping through cabins, upturning beds, furniture, leaving behind a mess of debris and death.
A summer camp overrun by floodwaters.
A growing death toll in a search to find missing young girls.
The emergency alert that would have warned people around the communities of Hunt and Kerrville themselves, warning these campers of the wall of water about to hit them, it came too little too late at 5:34 a.m. local time, along with the message, flash flooding is already occurring. And even if that message had arrived in time, which it didn't, most, if not all, campers would not have gotten the message directly on their own phones anyway. Camp Mystic's own rules, we can see here in a letter sent to parents. It makes very clear what is considered an unacceptable electronic device for any camper to bring: cell phones, tablets, or smartwatches of any type. At the time I record this, officials believe at least 10 people from Camp Mystic are.
Yeah.
No, I said they're gonna change that rule.
Oh, yeah, that
are still missing, including one counselor. This is 3 days after the flooding, and this is what that water might have looked and felt like, high and strong. This video was posted by the city of Kerrville later that morning.
So they're basically just showing right here, they're showing how it looks and then how it looked. And that's, I mean, that whole area from here to here, that whole area just flooded. Just flooded. As far as, you know, the things they're talking about when it comes to these politicians, and that's kind of what I want to get to just a little bit. You know, nothing, they call it meteorology or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm talking about. They call it that, but it's a science, but it's just like the science of the brain. Like they still don't know everything, as we know by, you know, watching the news and seeing the forecast and then going through your day and noticing that the forecast was not right. So we know that this is not 100% proven science, and there's just too many. There's too many in my eyes. There's too many things that are unjustified, like things that are the unknown in the realm of meteorology. Like it's there's unknowns. Like shit happens, and every time this shit happens, natural disaster. The fire in California, what we had, politicians, people from these districts and all of this, like, oh, well, we didn't know this and we didn't know that. But it's like, man, this is natural occurrence here. We can't sit here and do that with everything.
Yeah. I agree with you in a sense. I think what tends to happen when there's a loss of life, and I actually for the last few nights been don't ask me why I've been watching ships that's been sinking and all this type of weird shit. And once it's over with, they want to know why this happened or what we could have did better, what caused the
Right.
ship to sink. They want to know all this shit. You know what I'm saying? And I think they want to know that with airplanes, why they crash, they check the black box and things like that, because they
Yeah.
want to be able to avoid this from happening. And I think
Right.
during this research or the investigation of the incident or this natural disaster, they want to know, they're gonna want to know how we could avoid this many people losing their goddamn life. So
Right.
that's where the finger pointing comes in, which I hate to say it that way. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And one thing I know that he said was they do have the alarms that go off on people's cell phones, but they got spotty areas where signals are horrible. It's a flash flood, could knock power out. Only thing I can say is what they could have had, and I don't know when you would set this alarm off, is one of those alarms that shoots through the whole city. You know, those loud ones when when the hurricane got
Yeah.
So that's one thing I feel like they could have had. But going back to what you said, when we get the notification of a flash flood, or you watching the news and you say potential flash flood,
Yeah.
they're not gonna send that alarm until them goddamn waves start. Because if it's just raining, the water starting to maybe get to your ankle.
Mm-hmm.
It's some ways that you can tell this shit finna get out of hand. And I guess that would be the speed of how fast this thing is rising. And maybe the water is moving. I don't know. I don't want to be put in that situation, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know when I get the flash flood warning on my phone, swipe. My signal's still on, my internet's still on, my phone's still on. So, but being out there would be a little different as far as how the people, the camp directors handled it. Who knows? As far as the warning signs, because they have river sensors. They can put sensors in places along the banks of the river and whatnot to alert when it gets past here or past, so I don't know. It's definitely a sad situation. I think the last number I seen was 109 numbers when it comes to people who they found, bodies they found. So, yeah, let me see what D-Love talking about. She said, that's dumb as I don't know. You said what?
No, go ahead.
She said, that's dumb as I don't know how I can have my baby and we cannot be in contact. Yeah. The fact that it's an overnight camp, because there's camps where you just go to when you come back for, summer camps for kids, but this place, they was eat, sleep, shitting at this camp. There was no other, and for them kids to not have any type of communication, that rule, like you said, boss, may be changing in the future.
Yeah, it has to stop. It has to change. And I think we see that with all these mass school shootings, man. Yeah. I understand you don't want your kid to have their cell phone out while they're taking the test. I get that. I understand that. I think the cell phone should be kept long as it stays in the kid's book bag, not while you're out here taking tests. Listen to the teacher teach. It should not be seen, but they should be able to keep them cell phones at least in their book bag. I ain't gonna say on their person, at least in their book bag, bro.
Right. Or make a little carrying case, a clear carrying case that they clip on their thing, maybe with a combination lock or something. Anything, just something that they can, still be contactable. Say, I want to know why people thought it was safe to send their babies off with no way to contact them. Look, I mean, it's a nature camp. This is only what my explanation for that would be. Maybe it's a nature camp. They don't want kids sitting up on Facebook at a nature camp, where you're in lodges and you out in nature and doing nature things, setting up tents and doing all type of shit, tying ropes and whatever they do. But yeah, man, I don't know. I know if I had kids, I would not be sending them to no place like that. Especially with with people, we already know kids, are people who have ill intentions tend to find these jobs around these kids where they're unsupervised with kids, and that's a whole nother layer. But that would add to it as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
no doubt about it. I don't trust nobody more than I trust myself with my kid. That's just me. I think my baby mama does a great job with her. If I had to leave it with anyone, that would be probably the only other person. Other than that, I don't trust nobody. And if I contact my child, that's a fucking problem. It's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to touch on it. There's a lot more in that video. We might tap back in with it, we might not, but on a later date. But I just wanted to definitely talk about it. Two of the kids, a set of twins that actually went to a summer camp at a place that I formerly worked at, that I heard about. And yeah. That shit crazy. 109, man. We talk about mass shootings. What's the total number what's the average number from a mass shooting of people that actually die? And then you look at that number compared to this, 109. You don't see mass shootings, and there's a lot of things that happen, catastrophes in society that don't garner that type of loss of life. So it's definitely sad, man.
Yep. And that goes back to what I said. That's a large, large number, man. And you have to ask, what in the hell happened? Why were we not prepared? So I don't want to blame nobody.
Yeah. Yeah, get together, man. They gonna do something about it. Changes are gonna be made. I do know that much, because hell, catastrophe is the biggest conduit to change, I would say.
Absolutely. You ain't lie about that, bro. But yeah, man, my condolences go to all the people who has lost their life, and I pray that the lives or the people that are still missing are found, hopefully in one piece and still breathing.
Yeah.
I can only imagine, man, how I feel if that was me as a parent, trying to wait and see if my kid is. But we're gonna roll in and get to the main topic of the night. And if I'm glitching, give me a second. I'm doing some things behind the scenes. But yeah, we're actually gonna revisit the Sebastian Rogers case. This is a case that actually was a part of with the round table last year. And this is one of those cases that you're like, hold up, wait a goddamn minute. There's so many curves, unexpected turns in this case. But the way I see it, the way I researched it, it loops right back around. And it's that basic question that you ask when someone goes missing. Who was the last person you seen them with?
Yeah.
That's just me. That's just me. But I'm just gonna play a little clip first before I get to the main clip I want to show you guys. Kind of to update you on where I stand with this case. Of course, Sebastian Rogers, he was a 15-year-old autistic kid, part of the spectrum. He's now 16-year-old because he's been missing for over a year now and some change. And it's like this little kid just disappeared. Untraceable. Bullshit. Bullshit. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me that. Hey, ain't no such thing as that. I'm just gonna run through this a little bit, and then we're gonna get into the meat of some new information that have come out since the last time I should seen it or been studying this case. So, take a look at this, man.
Got a plan for me. I know God got a plan for me.
Welcome everybody in. We're gonna be breaking down the Proudfoot's interview with Nancy Grace. Everyone has seen this video probably several times if you've been following this case of Sebastian Rogers. All right, now the Proudfoots are the parents, biological mother and stepfather of Sebastian Rogers, Katie and Chris. In my eyes, suspects. If you can do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you
are in their home with Sebastian when he goes missing. I want to go straight back to when Sebastian goes missing. Miss Proudfoot, I understand that the day before, which would have been Sunday, that you went to dinner, you went to somewhere, I believe you said BJ's, where he had a, quote, colossal popcorn, and around 9 p.m., you tell Sebastian to go to bed. He says, okay, and goes to his room. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That night, I understand from previous statements you've made that you went to bed around midnight. Is that correct?
It is.
And to you, Mr. Proudfoot, Chris Proudfoot, did you also go to bed at midnight or before or after?
No, ma'am. We went to bed around the same time because we were on the phone together.
Do you two sleep in the same bedroom?
He wasn't actually in the home at all that weekend.
So where were you, Mr. Proudfoot?
In Memphis, Tennessee.
How far away is that?
3 hours and 37 minutes from doorstep to doorstep.
I don't know what made him get very detailed and say doorstep to doorstep. Obviously, he has done his research to make sure he covered himself. For some reason, he wanted to know how long that trip was. So if he can give it to you by the minute, that means he looked it up.
Okay.
Normally people do that type of stuff to see how long it's going to take, maybe for a round trip. But the fact that he made sure he said it detailed, doorstep to doorstep.
I don't put too much in that. I don't put too much stock in that. Just that one. I don't know. You there? Oh, you on mute.
I thought I'm on mute. Why not?
Because I talk like that. Like I talk in that's kind of the style of talk that I talk in. Like, I don't say the first thing that come to mind all the time. I like to say things in a that's just, it's a habit to talk like that. I might not say point A to point B. I might say doorstep to doorstep just because that's the type of nigga I am. So,
okay. All right. Yep. That means something to me.
And what were you doing in Memphis?
Working.
Where do you work?
I'm currently working, or was working, at the St. Jude Children's Hospital construction project.
So, he stated he was in Memphis, Tennessee. He was working for St. Jude Children's Hospital doing construction. We all know that. A lot of people have issue with him being there versus being in Hendersonville. Because a lot of people feel that's where he was. When we speak about the time frame, which we know the phone call that Katie made to him was at 6:03 a.m., right? He said he was working. Now, if you pay attention to some of the lines that I've been a part of on John Q's page, we had a hard time believing that. But 6:03 in the morning, it's really not dark. At that time of the day, it's actually called nautical twilight. This is what nautical twilight looks like. That's not very dark. Now
break it down, boss.
Rose on February 26th.
That boy in his bag, boy.
6:33. So 30 minutes prior to the sun rising, this is what it looks like. So it's really not dark. So could he have been working? Sure, he could have. They're getting their tools together, getting everything they need to start their day at St. Jude's Hospital. So I just want to point that out so you can actually see what time the phone call was made from Katie to Chris. It wasn't dark.
You said you were working there. Are you no longer working there?
Right now, that's up in the air.
Well, you've been gone ever since Sebastian went missing.
Think about why Nancy asked that question. And then think about why he answered the way he did. It's up in the air. She asked, where were you? He said, I was in Memphis working. He said, well, I was working. Are you not working there anymore? It's up in the air. It's either you are or you ain't, bro. And if you ain't, why are y'all in Memphis instead of Hendersonville, where the little boy went missing? Make it make sense. Because if you're not working, you have no business being up there, right? Okay.
When you are home, do you two sleep in the same bedroom?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this a 3-bedroom home?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is your room as it relates to Sebastian's room?
It's on the opposite end of the house. The master bedroom's on one side and the other 2 bedrooms are on the other side of the house.
Your master bedroom is on one side of the house and Sebastian's room is on the other side of the house. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So his bedroom is away from Faith's bedroom and away from your master bedroom. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is Sebastian's room on a top floor or a ground level?
We have a ranch style house. It's a 1.5 story. So everything is flat. And then you have the bonus room above the garage.
If you heard what he said, it's 1.5 stories, whatever you want to call it. You know what that means. He said the garage is under the stairs. So if that's the case, remember when John told you guys that this right here was the door that takes you to the garage. And then some people said it was a pantry. Well, if you come around here, these stairs right here, and if the garage is under the stairs, then where is this door right here leading to? I just wanted to point that out because that's very important when we're talking about how did Sebastian leave this home without being detected, especially by the scent dogs, right? So I definitely wanted to stop and point that out because we had a little discussion and some people disagree, which everybody's entitled to their opinions, but 2 + 2 always equals 4. Remember that.
That morning, was there any sign of a break-in through a window, a front door, a back door, a sliding glass door, anything at all?
No, ma'am.
Do you have a burglar alarm?
No, ma'am.
Do you have a Ring doorbell cam?
No, ma'am.
Have the 2 of you taken a polygraph?
I have.
I have not. I've offered and volunteered on many occasions to take a polygraph, and I was told directly by law enforcement because of my whereabouts, I did not need one.
Miss Proudfoot, did you pass your polygraph?
I did.
That night, Miss Proudfoot, at midnight when you went to bed, what did you do until midnight?
I had been reading a chapter that I needed to, and I had been talking to my husband on the phone. I was falling asleep on him, so that's when he told me it was around midnight. He told me to go ahead and put the dogs up and go to bed, and that's what I did. I got up, put the dogs where they sleep, and then I myself went to bed.
Do you?
Now remember what she said. She went to sleep around midnight. That's going to play a very important part to what we're going to look at in just a minute.
You guys have a motion sensor light or lights on the outside of your house?
Yes, we do have lights on the outside of our house.
Did they activate that night?
They're not motion censored.
Were they on that night? So the lights were out.
Okay, so you heard Katie. Her response was no. Katie was there, right? He was in Memphis, 3 hours and 37 minutes, doorstep to doorstep, like he stated. She said no. I don't know how you can get that confused, but keep listening.
Were there any lights outside the house on at all?
Just my little solar lights that we have in the garden.
There's 2 lights on the side of the house above the garage that are on at all times.
So Chris says those lights were on. Chris was 3 hours and 37 minutes away. Chris also said they stay on. How do Katie not know that? May not mean anything, but it could mean everything.
There's a light above the garage. It's on at all times.
There's 2. Yes, ma'am.
The reason I'm asking is because I heard you say earlier, Mr. Proudfoot, that your neighbors have been very, very forthcoming with their Ring camera info. And I was trying to determine if any lights were on, what, if anything, they may have caught. But I understand from your previous interviews that nothing of any evidentiary value was caught. And also, in another statement you gave, I understand that the video of the 2 flashlights, and I'm saying that with air quotes, that's not exactly what that was at all. We now don't believe that 2 flashlights were observed around your home. Is that correct?
Yes. You're very correct.
All right. We're going to start with this video for right now, man. We're going to start with this video right now. We're going to introduce some new footage. And it's not really new. It came out, I don't know, maybe 6 months to a year ago, something like that. I believe Seth, which is the biological father, went and got a private investigator. Y'all heard me, right? Private. How the hell do I know who the investigator is? That's weird. But that's the point. Dog. My uncle, man. My uncle Dog, the bounty hunter. He is the private investigator. And it's a lot of things that are being said about the night of, leading into the day of, or the morning of his disappearance. But Dog, just like myself, want to know what happened prior to that shit. And as you heard in the beginning of this interview, Nancy said, y'all went out and you got some popcorn and some other shit, and you went out to dinner. Well, goddamn it, Dog found this footage where they was at dinner. They was at the steakhouse. Y'all check this out. So, as you can see, right here, let me rewind it one more time because Sebastian just got up. But if you look right here, it's kind of off-centered, but Sebastian and his mother are sitting in this booth right here, kind of towards the right side of your screen. And he's finna get up and go use the restroom. Now, to me, this footage doesn't show a lot, but we know Sebastian is alive at this point in time. So this type of footage actually helps you narrow things down, okay? Because we done seen several cases where we're like, okay, well, was he alive here? Was he alive here? Because now you can start eliminating. You can close that time gap. But before I continue, just you had anything you want to touch on before we continue?
I guess at this point I'm good. I'm good. You keep the presentation rolling, you know, and I'll chime in, you know, when I need to.
All right. Now, in this footage, I think the only thing a lot of people say that was suspect to them but she stayed on her phone. Well, it's 2025. That's what people do. As you can see now, Sebastian is returning to the table. And they say she may have taken some pictures of him. That's her damn kid. That ain't nothing suspect to me. But there's some more footage caught when they actually left. Or should I say leaving. This is outside of the steakhouse. And just a moment or two, you'll see Katie and Sebastian walk out. Now, what's important about this footage is the time. 6:24. I think 6:25 is what time they actually pulled off, if I'm not mistaken. There's one question I asked: what time did they get back to the house? Because if you follow her story and her timeline, everything better add up and make sense. Yeah. So right now they're getting in her vehicle. This is her vehicle. Now, a lot of people are looking at other people who are outside, which that's what detectives would do. They want to see, hey, anybody follow them? Is there anybody in this footage that I recognize? Do I see Chris? Do I see Seth? Well, I didn't. So the only thing that really helped with this footage is narrow down the time, what time they got home. And I heard 6, I heard 7, I heard 8. It can only be one time, people. Only be one time. And we're going to play a video with the neighbor who lives there. And she said 6. Where they at? They're in Texas? No, not Texas. They're in Tennessee. All right?
Central time.
Central time. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. But still, that clock on this thing is in Central time too. So ain't no way in hell they got home at 6 o'clock. So my assumption will be 7. From Roadhouse, this restaurant they're leaving from right now, to Katie's home. Say it with me, YJ. Doorstep to doorstep.
To doorstep.
It takes about 15 minutes. So I'm going to give them 7 o'clock. Why are you asking these questions? Why does that time matter? Because she said when they got home, Sebastian took the trash out. Now, I'm going to let this play. Let that play a little bit. Yeah, give me a second. I'm going to go get the other interview real quick while this play. Because that is very, very important on what we're finna hear come from the neighbor. This neighbor, to me, was very key in helping me put pieces of this damn puzzle together. Sometimes it's good to have nosy neighbors. I ain't gonna hold you on that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Go ahead.
I don't know. It's when it comes to the neighbor. I mean, everybody when things are going on, I think the going back can kind of be, there can be some fault in a statement, I think, or in an initial report of what happened in any report. Because especially when you talk about timeline, I think it can kind of be a little bit subjective, and I do think there can be some wiggle room when intaking that kind of information. Like how the dude said doorstep to doorstep. He might have had to actually look that up. I seen D-Love say research.com. You know, he might have had to actually research that, because during his daily, going through, even if it's work, I mean, not everybody's cognizant of exactly how much time things take or exactly what time it was here and there. So I tend to give people a little wiggle room on timeline just for that reason, I think.
Okay, I can dig that, but he's been working at this place, and he should know exactly around how long it take anyway, because he drive that the highway back and forth home when he go visit his wife. So
right.
I'm pretty sure he knows. So if he had to go look it up to make the trip there for the first time, yeah, of course he did. I don't know, and I'm not gonna put a lot of weight on the doorstep statement, but it just bothered me. It was like he was prepared for that shit. Like,
right? Yeah, it did seem like that. You would want to be a little bit more casual with your answers on the interview type of thing. So I get what you're saying on that.
Right. Now, I want to share my screen real quick. This is an interview, and I just want to give a big shout out to the YouTuber. I think he's a hell of a YouTuber. JLR Investigates. Big shout out to him. I'm gonna drop his link in my chat. So if y'all want to go subscribe to him, please do. This guy is always boots on the ground. He been in the neighborhood. He really travels to every case damn near he works or he investigates. So shout out to JLR Investigates. I'm gonna use this man footage without definitely give him a big shout out. But yeah, let's take a look at this real quick, and then we're gonna come back to what's on the screen. Now listen to this.
Takes the trash out after they arrived home from going out to dinner.
This lady on the right hand side, her name is Bobby. People, meet Bobby. This is a neighbor. Stays down the street. From Sebastian and his parents.
Go ahead.
There's no specific footage of that. The neighbor that has the Ring door camera that saw that, she said to me on the phone that the only thing you can see is a silhouette. She said,
y'all hear that? Only thing you can see is a silhouette. Now look. That's all you can see. Now you can try your best and make out. I think I did, but why they say I don't know, boss. But look at the light. Like he's carrying something. But can you tell that that's actually Sebastian? Hell no.
Hell no.
You can't tell who the hell that is. But for someone who's trying to, cover themselves knowing that their neighbors have footage, you have to tell everything that you remember that happened. So somebody's carrying some trash. Is that Sebastian? We don't know. But one thing I just want to inform y'all, and just in case you didn't know, is when they came home, she drove straight into the garage. So there's still no evidence that he came back from the steakhouse. But from what she said, but she's gonna get into that. So let's take this down. I just felt like this was maybe it could be helpful, but you can't prove nothing with this damn grainy ass footage, man. You really can't.
Right. Nah, you can't. You definitely can't. I mean, you can look, put it like this. You can prove from that there was a human who moved. You can prove that from the time of the camera, you can prove, okay, a human moved at this time across the street. That's all you can prove. So that could have been her ass out there.
Bingo. Bingo. We don't know that because you cannot tell. Because he's about the same height as her.
But he tall. But with that comes, how does she even know that they have a Ring camera? She know where it's pointing. She know where I would say it's probably not that, because unless she had information about where this camera was and where it's pointing.
I don't know how close she is with her neighbors to say, hey, let me look at your Ring camera real quick. You know what I'm saying? Let me see what that shit pointing.
Right.
I don't know if she knows, but I believe, which is very, very important. And y'all heard Nancy Grace ask. I believe we got to that point. Then she asked, did y'all have a camera? Then she asked her that.
She said, do y'all have a burglar alarm? No. Do y'all have a security camera? No. Do y'all have... They ain't got shit.
And that's a red flag, bro.
I don't know if it's a... Can I
What's
say that's a red...
What you work at?
Oh, yeah, you said she worked at some ADT or something, like a security company.
I think it's Brinks.
Brinks or something. Well...
Brinks or something, whatever it is. They get a discount, man.
Yeah, Brinks Home Security. Yeah. I stay in a apartment, and hell, I got a motherfucking camera on my door. So it's widely, most people have it. It's just something most people have. They even on the Ring camera. I don't pay the subscription fee to have this because I don't have any neighbors with it, but they even got my neighbor. They got a my neighbor section of Ring camera where you could see their cameras. Like you could access the shit just like them. Like it, so two neighbors can be linked up on an account and they'll get their shit free type of thing.
Hold on. That's just the Ring camera, right? Not inside the house, right?
Yeah. Definitely. The doorbell camera. Let me just say that. You be looking all of your neighbors shit like, what y'all in there fucking?
I know you cook, bitch. You ain't offer me none of that chicken.
Right. Yeah, so
what up, Marty 13? Glad you slid through the door. So we can make an educated guess that they made it home, let's say around 7:00, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that happen from there to the time he went missing. And I'm gonna just take this video back because she's gonna pretty much cover everything that I needed for this particular part of the live in about 8 minutes. What's up?
Can we take down one of these?
Yeah, I thought I took it down.
Oh, I see two. Okay.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, just to help it with StreamYard be when it's got shit up. So
yeah, I got you. All right, so we're gonna go back, and again, big salute to JLR Investigates, man, because I think he did a good job asking the right questions, because that's what's about, asking the right goddamn questions. So we're gonna take it here, 2410. And
as far as her going, before as her going to, like, I see the Nancy Grace interview, and that's an interview I expect in a case like this. But this is a YouTuber getting this interview. I thought that was interesting, and I don't know what to think about that, but I kind of think it's interesting that this interview, like a YouTuber got this interview instead of I'm pretty sure someone else has reached. I can't say for sure, but you would think this type of interview would have went to a law and crime, so like a big, huge, syndicated, type of thing.
Well, I mean, this neighborhood is pretty big, full of nice homes. She's just one neighbor out of many, bro, and she's not even the next door neighbor. So I don't think they would ever ask her any damn thing. But like I said, JLR Investigate actually been there. He actually went through the neighborhood, and he actually ran into her. I guess he actually at that point, hey, would you like to do an interview on my page? And she probably was like,
and now that makes sense because I do remember you said, you know, he be on some boots to the ground shit, and that's you will run into some people being out there, you know. So it's more, you know, it's less of a question, I guess. Now that you kind of broke it down like that, Marley 13 say the stepdad ex-wife asked where the cameras was inside. They have a daughter, so she had been inside.
Well, I know Chris has a daughter. That's Faith, but Faith she wasn't there during this time, especially when he went missing. And we're going to get into Faith and her mother and everything. I think I'm going to do a part 2 on that. I might cover some of that tonight, but it's a lot of information, so I ain't going to make that promise. But, yeah, Faith wasn't there. And, yeah, that's Chris. Oh, Chris. That goddamn Chris. Hey, he ain't to be trusted. But let's take a look at this this part of the interview he did with her. And YJ, if you want me to stop at any given time, just let me know, bro.
All right.
He's like curious about the time the trash picks up, and then in reference to the lights.
All right, so let me preface this before we even get started. If you all are familiar with this case, 3:10 in the morning, there was some lights, like people walking with flashlights kind of behind their home, near their home, and away from their home, right? And I should probably say this for last, but we're here. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Remember, she said she went to bed at 12 o'clock, right? That's a lie. But anyway, there's some lights outside the house at 3 o'clock. And they were walking away. Now, one thing they said Sebastian had with him was a flashlight. I don't know if they said that to cover themselves, but they said that. But it was 2 people, not 1. So I just want to preface that when you hear him talking about the flashlights.
We're going to talk about the 3 a.m., 3:10 a.m. lights. Let's talk about the trash. What do you know?
So our trash gets picked up by J.E. McMurtry Disposal, has for many, many, many years. They...
Not fault. What she's doing is she's finna debunk, and I'm glad she did this because I never heard this. 3:10, the police said, along with some others, that those lights you seen was the trash people taking out the trash, emptying the trash. It was trash day. And she's finna debunk this shit, and she was able to do so, but the police wasn't trying to hear that shit. Remember what I just said, please.
They used to, a few years back, they would pick up around 6:30-ish, but then the bus was coming through, and it was making it hard for them to come through with the bus, and all the kids were out, and it was just chaotic. So they switched it, and now they go down my street about 5:30, 5-ish, between 5:15-ish, 5:20, something like that, every Monday morning. That's going down my hill, though. That's not when they come in and they're going around it. That's when they're coming back down. So, yeah.
I mean, that's an extra, 20 minutes? How long does it take for the trash truck guy to go through the whole entire neighborhood?
And the other misconception is a lot of people are saying that they have to hand dump the trash bin in there. They don't. It's a new truck. They have an arm, and it does it for them. So that was another thing where they're having to pick up these big. No, they're not. They have an arm. They roll it over to the arm, connect it to the arm, and they dump it in. You can hear it. I mean, it's not quiet. It's loud. I mean, you hear the arm doing all that. So by the time they collect the trash coming up the street, though, not going down it. They're collecting it as they come up. So I guess they're probably in the neighborhood just like around 5, just before 5.
And they're out of there before the buses come.
Yes.
Or the bus comes, or
Absolutely.
You said buses. Where's trash go?
Oh, it gets dumped in either Nashville or Gallatin. If Nashville is full, they'll temporarily temporarily dump it to Gallatin, and then once I guess Nashville gets whatever, then they'll transport to Nashville. The big misconception was that the neighborhood behind us, they get picked up by a different company on Tuesdays. So that's a whole different thing.
Is that construction development you're talking about?
Well, that was the dumpster that everybody was asking about. How is it possible that, whatever, that the dog hit over there as well? The second dog that was out walking hit also by the trash dumpster. And the trash dumpster owner found that out when law enforcement told him that we got a hit by the dumpster. The owner of the dumpster called them back and said, okay, we dumped our trash on this certain day, Tuesday, whatever, on that certain day in Kentucky. So you guys need to go and get a warrant, obviously. And he gave them permission to go search the Kentucky dumpster.
If you're listening, the neighbors are trying their best to help with the investigation.
Right.
They're helping debunk things that are being said and the things that law enforcement are saying. Law enforcement, till this day, still saying the flashlights that you guys saw were the trash truck people at 3:10 a.m. when they're not even there yet. How? These people live here. She broke it down. They used to come at this time, but now they come at this time, which is around 5 o'clock. Maybe at the earliest 4:30. It still ain't 3:10 when they seen them flashlights come. And where those flashlights end up walking to, so suspect. We're going to get to that in just a moment. I just want to break that down.
Right.
Or landfill. So that's why they went to Kentucky. And then I was told that they also checked Gallatin and Nashville as well.
That night, Katie claims the night of the 25th that Sebastian takes the trash out after they arrived home from going out to dinner.
What would you say to somebody that hasn't tried therapy before?
Just ask yourself if what you're doing in your life right now is working. If you have peace, if you have good relationships with loved ones, or if you have healthy boundaries, if you're able to put your head on your pillow at night and just fall.
Go ahead.
There's no specific footage of that. The neighbor that has the Ring door camera that saw that, she said to me on the phone that the only thing you can see is a silhouette. She said you cannot see a physical person. There is absolutely no physical proof of Sebastian being at their house that night after dinner. There's nothing. There's her car coming home. My neighbor did tell me that she saw her car come, but she parks in the garage. So nobody saw him get out of the car.
What time was that? I always want to know what time she arrived home. Do you know?
I asked, and she said that it was so dark that she couldn't really see. She saw about 6 or so, I think is what she said, ish, because they went to dinner at Texas and then supposedly came home, and then her car came into the driveway around 6, and then somebody pulled the trash bin out.
So we just talked about this. It couldn't have been 6 because there's a Texas Roadhouse or whatever the steakhouse called, and they pulled off at 6:25. So I'm saying it has to be 7. I ain't going to 8. I'm going to 7.
After that. But they don't know who it was because you can't tell.
So no evidence. Any neighbor, including yourself, or because you all talk, the neighbors talk to everybody and said there's nothing to indicate that he was home that night. He got home that night.
There's no proof of that. Nobody ever saw him come home, or really, I mean, I don't even know if anybody can say they saw him leave with her. I mean, no, I don't think anybody actually looked back that far. It was so chaotic at the very beginning. I think the police were so focused on a runaway teen that was what everybody was focused on. So when they first asked to look at their video cameras, I think everybody was checking actual of him walking out, but there's no proof of him physically walking out. And then it was, okay, are there any cars around there? And so going back to the whole light thing, I was told that there was an unidentified car sitting on my street facing the entrance somewhere around 3:30 or so.
Bingo. So she's talking about there's a vehicle, and I think what threw a lot of people off is they didn't park by Sebastian's home. They parked like down the street, adjacent, not even on the same street they live on. I wouldn't either if I'm going to commit a goddamn crime. And they said they was facing the entrance. Yeah, I would too. If I'm going to do something, I want to be in and out. Throw them in the car, go. 3:10, she said that car was spotted around 3:30. Put it together.
So
as
and then
far as
the flashlights were
trying
actually
to prove, I guess, if he made it back. And I see D Love comment, he never made it back to the house. I guess all that you're talking about is basically saying that he didn't make it back to the house.
I'm not saying that. It's a possibility though. And the only reason I'm not saying that, because then she's caught up in a lie. Because she said at 10 o'clock, she told him to go to bed. No, 9 o'clock, she told him to go to bed.
Yeah.
Remember that. So that's why I said, okay, I can't prove he made it home. I can't prove he didn't make it home. So you follow this. What I do is I follow the story all the way to he went missing. And then you go back and see which one makes the most sense of when he possibly was taken. Then that's all I'm gonna say. Taken. Ain't no damn way. He ain't run away. He ain't run away.
Seen on the neighbor's camera 2 separate flashlights walking in between the yards, which the trash truck does not do. They don't need to. All of the trash is at the curb. They have never, ever gone. Matter of fact, when you sign up for services, they tell you in the email their rules and regulations. If your trash is not by the curb, they don't take it.
So at 3:10, when these 2 flashlights are seen, if that wasn't a trash truck, who was it? Who was it? That's
right.
That's an opportunity. That could be a point where he was taking.
And she said they don't take the trash. They don't nobody take trash at 3:30 in the morning.
Exactly.
They take that shit early, but they gonna hit you about 5 something, maybe 6 something, but 3, they don't do that because they know people sleep. Yeah.
So remember, they walked to that car that was parked facing the entrance. Now let's continue.
Unless, you're an elderly person, you ask them if your trash is like in the front of your house and you ask them, they'll come and get it like that, but they won't come around the back or in between houses. That's bull monarchy. That is not how that works.
No track. You don't believe those 3:10 a.m. lights were around 3:10 after 3 a.m. were trash truck lights.
Not only do I not believe it, but the neighbor that has the actual footage swore up and down that there are 2 different circumstances. There was the car with the lights coming towards the car backed up on Kellen and left. And then about 2-ish hours, hour and a half, hour and 42 something, they're like she said, the time stamp on the video is not working. It is stuck. She said, but you can tell because it's pitch black dark in the middle of the night when the car comes down the street, turns onto Stafford, sits there for about 3 to 5 minutes. The flashlights are coming from 2 different directions in between the yards. They do whatever they're doing around the car. The car backs up Kellen and leaves from Stafford. I'm sorry, backs up Kellen and leaves. And then 2 or so hours later, as the sun is just beginning to come up, you can see the trash truck. And she said, but the trash truck goes past her driveway. She said, you can see the trash truck and the lights and the back of the truck go past her driveway, go up the hill, do its business, turn around, come back down. And then within a few minutes later, the sun is coming up. And then you can see Katie's car leave, Katie's car coming back. And then you can see all the police come in. She said, it's very obvious. So I asked her why the police are saying that that's trash truck. And she said, I don't know. I'm baffled because I tell you right now, there are two different circumstances and that you can tell there are two different time frames.
Wow. Because we've heard from Seth Rogers, and Seth is adamant that he was told or he's seen.
That's because LE has told him that.
What's up with that?
She say LE, she's talking about law enforcement.
Okay, that's the first time I heard that one.
Yeah, she's gonna actually break it down. I'm hoping everybody's picking up what they're hearing, because I told y'all about Nina, which is Chris's ex-wife, and her story. If we get to it, we will. If not, I'll do a part 2. But his relationship with her was very toxic, and the things he did, he had to have LE on his goddamn side, right? That's. If you haven't seen it, you don't know what I'm talking about. That's my opinion.
And I see why you're saying that, because at this point, from her account and from what police have said, there's a there's a disconnect between what police is saying and what the people who are there are saying. So I see what you're saying with that.
Right.
But I ain't gonna lie, this case is, I ain't mean to cut you out. This case is almost going towards conspiracy. I don't, if that's just the vibes I'm getting, because it's just so it's not enough. It's enough to be not enough, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's just everything that's been said by law enforcement compared to what actually happened, or let's say what Chris may have told people in interviews when he was up there with Katie. And then they talked to law enforcement. Law enforcement said, we didn't say that. Like, hold on, then Seth, the biological father, say this is what they said. And it's so much, like, how are these stories getting conflicted? That shouldn't happen. The truth don't need help. It don't need help, bro. So if you tell me this, or if I tell you this, and I can prove what I'm telling you, why are you fighting me back?
Right. And then the question after that, why are you fighting back, is what are the motivation for the fight back? Or what is the motivation for the so LE, man. LE, I'm gonna start using that too. Man, LE out here. Look.
But yeah, she gonna say it.
Because LE has told him that. Law enforcement has told him that.
Why?
That's the question I asked when
You hear
I
that?
called. I got.
Yeah.
Why she make that? You hear that noise?
Shit. We want to know too, goddammit.
Right.
You can look at her face like, that's the fucking question we've been trying to figure out.
Right.
I think all of us are just super frustrated as this continues to go on, that we don't understand what's happened. We don't know what's happened. We've all been involved in trying to find him day one. We've spread it. We've shared it on social media. A lot of us were out with law enforcement the first week or so, looking for him and stuff. This shook us up to the core. It flipped our neighborhood upside down and just shook us up. Nobody left their house for 2 weeks. Even the family.
Do we know, like, as far as the landscape of where they're at? You said Tennessee. Is it wooded area behind the house? Is it? I guess as far as geography, do you know?
Yeah, well, it's a nice neighborhood. But behind this neighborhood, they're building another one, and it has a retention pond. And there's a little bit of wooded area over there, but they're knocking that stuff down to build another neighborhood. So it's really no place he can be hidden in that area. Now, if you go outside of that neighborhood, oh hell yeah. Oh hell yeah. It's a lot of wooded area.
And as far as how clear Sebastian's mind is there any what has been said to that? Because I didn't follow this when it was big and everything. As far as his capabilities, I know he went to the bathroom by himself, so that alone shows and autistic people can. So
he's very smart for autistic kids. Autistic kids love water. That's just something all autistic kids like. They just love water. I think he had an incident when he was younger where he stepped outside with no shoes on, and I think maybe something bit him. So he will never, ever since that happened, he never goes outside with a shoe. He will not do it.
Yeah.
When he left or disappeared, voila, he had no shoes. All of his shoes were accounted for.
Accounted for where?
At his house. All his shoes, when she realized he was missing.
Where did that information?
It came from the mother.
The mother said that. The police didn't say that.
The mother said that. The mother and how can the police say anything if they don't know what kind of shoes he got?
Yeah, that's true. That's a dumb question. Okay. I'm just trying to think of as far as, kids wandering off type of thing, wooded areas, nature around, water around, attracted to water. I'm just trying to think of every angle when it comes down to it, man.
Yeah, no, I got you. But what makes it so hard is they say they had a scent dog. They followed the scent dog to the retention pond. This is what was said. Got to the retention pond. The scent disappeared. They drained the fucking pond. He's not in there. Then as you heard her say, one of the neighbors heard that they said they found the scent by a dumpster, by his house. They try to help. Search it. This is when I empty my trash. Go search that landfill. This is where my trash go at. So they went to the landfill, searched that. Nothing. Neighbors are trying to fucking help, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's like law enforcement now is closed lip. They ain't telling them shit. I ain't telling you nothing, which they don't have to. Right. They supposed to protect the integrity of the case. But in the beginning, as you heard her say, they was telling them every goddamn thing.
Right. But the thing is, if you don't have nothing to say, you're not going to say nothing. So, if you don't have any new information or new leads, you're not just going to say some shit just to appease, what people want. If it ain't nothing, it ain't nothing. And it's.
But on the other, reverse what you just said. If it's something, it's something. I'm not going to tell you. And I'll get in trouble. See, I think you and correct me if I'm wrong. You don't want to think that way about law enforcement, or should I say LE?
I think if I'm a think that way, then I'm gonna need a motivation behind for them to do it. Yeah. This is a affluent neighborhood, white neighborhood. I don't see the motivation. I think so. That's kind of why I'm in limbo on it.
Makes sense. Though. I ain't mad at you about that.
Who walk their dogs every single day. We didn't see them for 2 weeks.
Why?
So,
why?
Yeah, we.
Okay, I think I want to go back, so I'm gonna take this one down, and we're gonna come back to this. Make sure.
I think that's kind of what's more shocking to me is that, far as that's what kind of makes me think, not shocking, but that's what kind of makes me think that there actually is nothing There is no anything, because I kind of would be looking at, I hate to say it, this was a little black girl, a little black boy, that, people, when it comes to this case, I think would be saying things like, we're not seeing any information because they don't care about black babies. They don't care about black. These are people that they care about. And this is the case. So that's why I'm thinking, like, they just really don't have shit. Like, they don't know.
The boy, okay, I'm gonna tell you what I first thought when I heard this case, and I won't take this out of my realm of thinking. Of course, if they say the dogs ain't hit on shit, which I don't believe that, but I have no choice. Of course, he had to either leave out the house when she went supposedly looking for him. He was in the car, or he never came back from the steakhouse. Those was the two things that I couldn't just leave alone until they debunked that trash truck shit. And they said at 3:10 a.m., two flashlights walked toward his car, did what they did, the car took off. So now that brings in the third option.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So I'm saying, like, it's so much that's been said that law enforcement said it's not true. But there's been things said by the community who lives out there that why in the fuck would they lie? And they can prove it, that they're discrediting. And it goes back to your question. If they're discrediting it for a reason, what is the motivation to do this? And I think the answer lies with Chris. I truly feel that way, bro. But yeah, let's take a look at this right here. Some more of this.
Okay.
What make and model do you drive?
Infinity SUV.
Year?
2017.
Sir, what do you drive?
Diesel truck, Chevrolet.
Year?
2021, I think.
So your Infinity SUV was parked in the garage or outside the garage that night, Miss Proudfoot?
That's very important. She pulled up when she came home from Roadhouse, went inside the garage. Some of us wonder if Sebastian made it back home from Roadhouse. There's no evidence of it. But if you go by the timeline, how long it take for her to get from Roadhouse to her house, I would say he made it back. Some of us wonder if this is premeditated. So where does it start? Then to me, it will start right there when she pulled up in the driveway, because the only way she's going to be able to remove him from the home without being seen is through the garage, right? Through that same door, the kitchen, into the garage, and then she can move on without him being detected. That's why there's no scent. Even though Chris stated there was a scent that took them to the little pond behind his house. He said that. Then we have law enforcement said that's not the case. Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Mr. Proudfoot, your vehicle
was right there
in Memphis. Is that correct?
So you just broke down the scent, kind of when it comes down to the scent, and Marley asked a question in there, and immediately I'm on Google. How dogs detect and follow scent trails. Humans leave behind a unique signature composed of skin cells, oils, and other particles from the body. Footstep impact. When a person walks, their footstep disturbs the ground, releasing an additional scent from crushed vegetation and other materials. Intensity and direction. Dogs can detect the intensity of a scent, and they tend to follow the strongest scent, which is often the most recent or closest to the source. I thought that was interesting, that footstep impact. When a person walks, their footsteps disturb the ground, releasing an additional scent besides the skin cells, body oils, and other particles shed from the body. That sounds crazy. the fact that we are releasing releasing skin cells and shit as we walk. It's just a trail of shit just behind us, like Charlie Brown, that boy with that damn blanket. But as far as the trail thing and why they, you know, how they got to that, you said they went to this body of water and it stopped. You're on mute.
Oh, my fault. Yeah. Now, I would understand why they would drain the pond, because if it stopped right there, maybe he went in there. But the shit was deep, knee deep. He wouldn't have drowned enough. If it's knee deep to a grown up, I mean, he's actually tall, so it probably would have came his waist. If that, maybe it's thighs. Right. So if it stopped, the only other thing, if that is true, which law enforcement said that was not true, he would have had to get into a car at that point. This autistic kid, they live off of patterns, bro. I don't think, and I could be wrong, that they could have got that boy out of his bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, or say 2:30 or whatever, somewhere close to that 3:10 mark, and had him walk in the goddamn dark, bro, with a flashlight. And I know she asked, what if he had on Chris shoes? The dog still would have picked up his trail. He still would have picked up his scent. It's not just by the footprints. It's if he was in that area, anywhere, they're going to pick that scent up.
Yeah.
So this is what makes this case so confusing and difficult, is because somebody's fucking lying, bro. Somebody is lying. And one thing I can only say, it's a system, bro. And the only way they're going to get away with it is everybody stay on board. As soon as somebody break, the truth going to come out. Now, I know you don't want to go towards law enforcement helping Chris, but I can't fucking help it, bro. I can't help it.
And the mama, I mean, yeah, it's just too many things up in the air for me to say exactly. I don't know what motivation the mama had, the stepdaddy had.
Just remember what you heard Nina said.
That's what I was about to go in. As far as what Nina said, this man has done all matter of debauchery when it comes to family, mental abuse. And that's the main thing I picked up on, was verbal, mental abuse type of thing. I can't remember. I only watched about 20 minutes of it. I can't remember if there was physical abuse or not. Did she speak on that as well? Okay, yes. So she did.
She like, when they got together, she already had kids. She had a kid that was in a fucking car seat, bro, and he hit that kid like
that's
it was
what
a
it is.
Yeah, I'm saying like, what the fuck? And he say slung the goddamn car seat with the kid in it and shit, bro.
Yeah. So definitely that was taking place, and she didn't like. I think she said something like she didn't like how he was. Yeah, like he was disciplining the kids, small children, like, you know, 3 years old. I think it was 3 years old or something. And he you know, he got to be a man type of thing.
Be a man, like, what kind of shit is that, bro?
3 years old, man. Your mind is something wrong with you, and that's allegedly, if what her story is true. Which, when it comes to, I guess, just for a split second, go into when it comes to her overall, because in these interviews, even like the one we were just watching with the neighbor, I'm looking at her like, does she look like she, you know, what's her body language like? What is when it comes to the ex, Nina, do you feel like what she's saying, can you feel what she's saying? Or is it like she's, you know, she's got a story to tell?
I believe I find her to be 100% genuine. I don't know her at all, but she had to take some time to make up a fucking elaborate ass story, because she sat there on that live for 2 hours and she cried. Only person I know who can act and cry on fucking point is Will Smith.
Was it crocodile tears or was it audible tears or water tears?
It was
okay,
tears.
Because I didn't get to that part.
She ran through so much goddamn tissue in that damn interview, bro. I find her to be credible. And there's nothing in her story that really benefits her, but she's telling her story. When she realized what was going on, and if you watch the whole thing, this shit leads into where she meets Katie. Yeah.
Okay.
They was trying to take Faith from her, bro.
So
I think he wanted Faith to replace Sebastian. I think, like, listen, I dealt with a female who had an autistic kid, and bro, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard as hell. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you don't know nothing about autism. You gonna learn. You gonna learn.
Yeah. Crash course.
Yes. You gonna watch a lot of shit in your house get destroyed. You gonna learn. And with Chris, that dude right there, I think he killed the P. Diddy. Be honest with you, he looks like an evil motherfucker, bro, and he has no patience. None, bro. So I think just like Cassie, she found herself in a rock and a hard place. And if I say this, that means she lacked love for her kid. I don't want to say this, but she chose a man over her kid. That's what I feel.
Damn.
That's what I feel, bro. That's what I feel. I don't see it no other way. You leave after your kid go missing and you go up there to his job and your kid is missing down here in Hendersonville. What the fuck is you up there for? Your kid ain't up there. Or is he?
I mean, insurance. I'm starting to think about insurance money now.
I'm pretty sure LE done looked and see if there's any insurance taken out on little Sebastian.
There should be.
Correct.
I mean, hell, mother, there should be with the autistic child at the age that he was. I mean, you would think, yeah, there has to be.
Yeah, you would think that they had an alarm on their house with some cameras too. You would think that if you heard a thud in your son's house, your son's room at 10, 11 o'clock at night, you would go in there and check on them. You would think. But these some different motherfuckers right here, bro.
Yeah, $300,000 house with no
no alarm system, no cameras.
Nothing to secure your investment, your asset. That's your asset. That's crazy to me. I'm trying to secure this little 800 square feet. That shit crazy to me. Like,
but that house is $700,000, bro. No alarm, no cameras. You crazy as hell.
Yeah, shit. My shit. Look. I don't know exact the square footage of my shit, but hell, it's cool for Texas for a 1-bedroom, but hell, that shit. I'm trying to peep who coming to this though. Goddamn it, and this shit ain't even $750. That's $750,000 right there, and I ain't finna have no camera around that bitch. You got me fucked up. Completely fucked up.
All the way. Let me see if there's anything else on here I want to touch on.
So there's only one car at the home. Is that right?
There was actually a work vehicle in the driveway.
Make that make sense.
Could he have left on his own through those doors?
He could, yes, ma'am.
But I heard in another interview where Mr. Proudfoot said he was not a, quote, wanderer. He didn't wander around. He had never left the home before on his own. Is that right?
Correct. We haven't had issues with him running or taking off in the past.
So what makes you think all of a sudden he's just going to wander off in the middle of the night? Autistic kids, they live by repetition. They don't really go
Okay,
outside of
so
their
with
daily norm.
that being said, if she had something that wasn't, if it was some blood in the water when it come to her, why would she answer the question like that? Why would she not say he had a past of wandering? He's not here to speak for himself. If she had ill intent, wouldn't she say that yes, he had to leave that door open, because she closed that door right there.
Woo, YJ boy, you thinking? That ran across my mind when I was doing that fucking video. Like, well, that was her opportunity to goddamn lie.
Right.
But she did. Maybe she ain't fast on her feet, YJ. I don't know, bro. But that was an opportunity to lie. Like, yeah, he done did this shit before. And that could have took a lot of pressure off of them. But she didn't do that. That's a great fucking question, YJ. Like I said, I thought about that same shit, bro.
It just, when I heard, I swore she was gonna answer that different when I'm listening. I was in the kitchen, I got the earbud in, but when I heard it, I'm like, oh, she didn't. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's almost it's so much that it makes it conspiracy. What's good? Just a girl who loved frogs. What's good? What's good? We love frogs too.
Yeah, I had frogs outside my house when it rains. I hate when
I don't like them. Man, I don't like them little slimy muff. I don't like them. No.
Yeah, but you hit that right on the head, and I'm glad you brought it up. Maybe she's focused on the things that she knows she got to lie about, and when she hear a question like, I ain't really got to lie about that, she don't.
Mm-hmm.
But that would have been a great time to lie, and she didn't.
Right.
She never did this before. You gonna sit here and try to convince us that he walked out the door without his shoes on February 26th, when it was 28 to 32 degrees outside? You really want us to believe that? Try again.
Do you have any home surveillance, anything at all that would have given us an idea or a clue if the door had been opened or not, or a window?
Not directly from our house.
Well, then from where?
That's what we were hoping that neighborhood Ring cameras and may have picked something up.
Shit.
Gotcha. I want to go back to that night. You said you were up till midnight. You were reading something. What were you reading?
A chapter for school.
Are you in school?
I was, yes, ma'am. I've since dropped my classes for the time.
What are you studying?
Business administration.
Where do you go to school?
DeVry.
So that night you go to bed at midnight after you've been talking to Mr. Profit on the phone. You put the dogs away in a cage, a crate inside the home, and you go to bed. Did you check on Sebastian at that time?
I did not.
Okay. Do you normally?
Not typically. Since he's gotten older, I've not been checking on him as frequently throughout the night because normally he's good to go in his room once he goes to bed.
Earlier, you had stated you heard a noise in his room before you went to bed. What time was that?
Around 10 o'clock.
10 p.m. What did it sound like?
Just a thud.
Just a thud. You have an autistic kid who have health issues, from what I hear, and you hear a thud. That's a dull sound that can be loud. Now, I understand autistic kids, they sometimes get into things and may knock something over or whatnot when he's supposed to be in bed. But the love of a mother will not allow you to stay laying on that couch, so-called reading, talking to your husband, and not go check on your kid. I mean, am I wrong for saying that? I mean, I would. If I hear anything that's not normal coming from my child's bedroom, I'm going to see. Because I can't live with myself if I wake up the next morning and I'm facing the same
So
situation.
pause it. Hold on.
Oh yeah,
Hold on.
I was gonna do that anyway because I'm gonna show something else. But go ahead.
Because you heard a thud from across the house. They said it's on the opposite end of the house. This is a ranch style house, and you heard a thud all the way from across the house. So that mean that how loud would that thud have been for you to be in a ranch style house, basically all one story except for some above the garage, for some all the way through them doors, through them walls, from one end to the other. You heard a thud.
Well, she was in the living room, right? She wasn't in the bedroom.
Oh,
yet.
she was. Oh, okay. So that okay. You get that. You got it. I was thinking that she was in her bedroom. Okay.
Not yet. Well, what I'm gonna play, might say otherwise, cause
oh shit.
Remember, Bobby, our friend Bobby, the neighbor, she got something else to say too about that goddamn time frame, people. We finna hear it. Hold on, let me find it. Let me find the right time step. Cause yeah.
Just a girl who loves frogs said there's some people who think that thud never happened, that he never made it home from. Yeah, and that's what D love. And people with that's there's certain type of people who when they digest a case like this, they strictly go off of what they know. Like, and I can see going about it like this. There's nothing wrong with going about it this way. As far as I know, he was at that Texas Roadhouse, but I don't know he was at that house. So look, he wasn't at that. He wasn't at that goddamn house. So I get that as well.
And that goes back to what I said. I followed all the way through. At first,
until
he make it back, but I followed until she said. He said he was okay when she heard that thud. So that tells me he was there. Can I take her at face value? No, I will not. I will not. One of these motherfuckers at face value. Ain't right about it. But like I said, Bobby says something that the neighbor said. Katie said a little bit different. I think this is the right time stamp. Correct? Forgive me if I'm wrong.
House to do the same door knocking thing and walking around and whatever. I asked the sheriff, I said, troopers came in. Still don't know why state troopers got there. Haven't figured that one out yet. I don't know why state troopers would be there. But state troopers came in. Actually, they came in to, I was asleep on the couch. I was asleep on the couch.
Okay, hold on.
Her kid just walked, would have jumped up with my gun in my hand in the living room. And your kid walks out the front door. Wouldn't you have heard that? And he was like, not only would I have heard that, but I would have jumped up with my gun in my hand to figure out who's coming in my house.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing is like she falls asleep on the couch and her kid just walks out the door. But then when I asked my neighbor about that again, called her the next day, I'm like, okay, explain this to me. This is what you said. I don't understand that. And she said, oh, well, she woke up and then heard the thump and that kind of thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's just, it goes with all that in the evening time. At the same time, like you said, no evidence that any neighbors or anyone seen that he actually returned home that day. And then we also have those lights. It's just a mystery in a sense because those mysteries. Someone asked him, go ahead.
I'm just going to say those were not trash trucks.
Let me go back because she cleared it, but I want to go back to where she actually broke that whole thing down. Hold on.
They actually were talking to us. Like day 1 and 2, they were talking to us. So they were giving us information. If I have a child who's got special needs and I hear I don't know, again, third party, I'm hearing this from another third party source. So, I trust this lady. She's a good friend of mine. There's no reason why she would lie.
It is.
But she said, Katie, they had gotten home from Texas Roadhouse, took the trash out, so on and so forth. Sebastian was in his room. She was in the kitchen, I guess, getting, whatever done. And from her house, she's close enough to where she can see from the Ring camera, like the lights inside because it's dark. So, I mean, if you have lights on, you can see it. And so she said that she could see the lights in the house around 10 or so. Then Katie told her that Sebastian was in her room. She was in the kitchen. She said, you need to go to bed. And he said, okay. And she goes in the living room and does whatever, watches TV. She says she was studying. I don't know, whatever, doesn't matter. She was in the living room for whatever reason. And suppose she told my neighbor that she fell asleep and
Say that again. You broke up. Say it again. You broke up.
This thunk, and she yelled across the house and said, Sebastian. And he said, yes, mom. And she said, are you okay? He said, yes, I'm fine. I'm good. Go to bed. And she said, okay. So she gets up, and my neighbor said, you can actually see his light go off, her walking across the house, her light go off, and then a silhouette come up to the window for a minute. And then everything just goes black.
What time was that again? Because you cut out.
This is the game changer that everybody have been asking for.
So basically this big button
We are not going to do that.
right here in the middle is to generate cords. So
I'm sorry, I know my son was calling me. Okay, so she woke up around 11:30 is what she told my neighbor, that she woke up about 11:30, and apparently he was still up. But I find it odd because my thought is, and again,
Now I heard that. She was asleep. She woke up at 11:30. The thud haven't happened yet. So watch.
none of my business. I just think, okay, put yourself in that position. If I have a child who's got special needs and I hear a thump, I'm gonna walk into my child. No, let me put it this way. My kids are all very healthy and normal. I'm very blessed to have very healthy kids. But if it's 11 o'clock or 11:30 at night and my kid has to be up at 6 the next morning, I'm gonna be in their room yelling at them and taking their electronics away and telling them, go to bed now. That I would be walking in my kid's room. Even where my kids are now, healthy and average children, whatever, no problems. If I heard a thunk, I'm probably still going to go in their room and ask, like, what in the world was that? I wouldn't just stay. But, hey, maybe she trusts him. Maybe she thought it was no big deal. I don't know, whatever. But that's what she told my neighbor. And then she goes to bed.
11:30 though. That information is not really out there. We keep hearing 10 p.m. kind of deal. Put him to bed. Hear the thump. Are you okay? Good night. 10 p.m.
Right.
But this is what she told a neighbor.
That's right.
Now, she told the neighbor this before she even went on this goddamn interview. You fucked up. You know you done fucked up, don't you? You know you done fucked up, don't you? She said she did not go to bed till midnight. But here she is waking up at 11:30. Look like she went to bed at 10 o'clock. She ain't no goddamn thud at 10 o'clock. So, come on, man. Come on, man. Make it make sense. I know in times like this, you can fuck up the time. Not right after it happened, you can't. I don't believe that. Because now I'm playing back everything that happened. If my kid legitimately went missing, I'm playing back everything I did. What time was this? Okay. Let me look at my phone. That'll tell me what time I got off the phone with my husband. Right? Yeah. I hung up the phone with my husband.
Because, she said she was falling asleep. She said she was falling asleep on the phone with her husband. So she got off. She said, bring the dogs in, such and such, and go hang it up for the night.
But she didn't go to bed till 12. No, that was after you woke up at 11:30. You heard a thud, and you didn't get your lazy ass up to go check on your kid. Don't be nice. Don't be nice right now, YJ. Don't be nice.
And I see what you're saying. Parenthood, I don't, partake, but thuds happen with boys. I'm gonna just say that.
I'm talking about autistic kid, YJ.
Yeah. You would think there would be more caution, and even like the lady said, even if you know, my kids are perfectly normal. If I told them to do something and I hear a thud, I'm going. So
right, man. Right now I'm live with y'all. If I hear something that's coming from my daughter's room, she's fine, got a belly full, eating Chipotle and shit in there. I hear something say, boom, man, fuck this live. I'm going to see what's going on, bro. I'm done. I'll be back. Hopefully y'all don't have to hear me kill no goddamn body. You feel me? Just like she said, I don't give a damn. My kid was 100% healthy. I'm going to check because that's not something I hear that comes from my kid room on a regular basis. You got to go check. Get your fat ass up and go look, man. Sorry. I love my kid.
Just the girl say, yeah, she can't even keep her story straight. If you watch her interviews and, you know, her story's changing from, what is it, taking the trash out, thud, going to bed, phone call, falling asleep, etc., yada, yada. I mean, I'm not going to lie. We be in our houses doing a lot. All of these things that she said could have happened that night. Plausible. Then she says in the Dateline interview, she said she went to bed an hour after the thud. Yet in all the other interviews, she said she went to bed at midnight.
Bro, just look at what we're doing right now, bro. This ain't our kid. As a parent who is missing their child, just like I said, you rewind everything that you know you did. You know you said, it's the last time I saw him. It's the last thing I said to him. If you care enough, the only way your stories get mixed up is if you lying. And you know you lying. You don't mix a story up. Or if you're not sure, you'll say, it was around this time. I'm not 100% sure. I had a couple of cocktails or some shit. Something like that. But you don't come and tell somebody one story, then tell an interview and another fucking story. Two totally different times. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, yeah. 10 o'clock, 11:30, you just added a 30 in that motherfucker. You lying your ass off, bruh.
What's the motivate? And see, we're gonna talk in circles because every time I hear it, I'm gonna say, and to Just a Girl and D Love, she already know how I am, so I ain't gotta explain. But for Just a Girl, I'm gonna do this. You know, I didn't follow the initial case. Boss is just catching me up to speed, so I'm gonna insert every ounce of doubt into the conversation. That's my job, right? This boss presentation. I'm just here to, you know. D Love say if they bump their head, we stay up together for an hour together.
Absolutely.
As far as parenting, she's speaking about the parenting aspect, and I can definitely see that.
That's what you're supposed to do. You don't let your kid go to sleep when they bump their head like that. Nope.
Yeah, because you don't know, they, you know, might have, you know, fell off, even a fall off from the bed. Hell, to make a thud, you got to fall off from a bunk bed. I'm pretty sure he didn't have a bunk bed. I done fell off one of them. You fall off a regular bed, it ain't gonna make a thud. It's just gonna be a little bump or something, you know. So, Just a Girl say the story shouldn't change. The truth never change. That remind me. That remind me of what Boss says religiously as the truth don't need no help. So I get that. I get that as real. Marley say D Love 100 and Sebastian had something with his head and a hit could kill. Yeah.
That's what I was saying in my videos. Like, he had health issues. I couldn't remember what it was, and I didn't know if it was confirmed. That's why I said from what I hear. But he had some health condition. Like, he bumped his fucking head, and you ain't go check on him. He could be in there having a goddamn seizure. But you said he responded to you and said he's okay. So we have to take your fucking word for it. I don't, but that's what people gonna do. I don't trust you. Don't trust you. But you know.
I can't see the motivation in her. I don't know. I can't see with everything. Like, if I were to just say 100%, 1000%, I agree with everything, all of the narratives y'all are putting forth. I still, at the end of the day, I cannot. In conclusion, I cannot find the motivation, I guess. It would have to lead towards the guy she with. That's the only option that it would lead to is brainwashing from this guy she's with to, get rid of the kid or to harm to or something. That's the only there's nothing else but that, so
what you think happened to him?
This is man. That question is like asking, are aliens real? Do we want to go? We could play it. We probably ain't got the conspiracy thing, but whatever I say is, I can't. I just not enough for me to say, type of thing. That's just me.
I look at it like and I'm glad you actually brought up the brainwashing and all that. I don't know. You can't brainwash anybody on somebody that they love to death. You can't tell me or fool me or trick me to get rid of my kid. Nope. I love my kid too much. I kill you before I let that happen. But just like I said, she's in love. Ain't no telling. She don't want to be alone no more. Seth didn't want her. And then, there's stories about, Seth was actually finna get full custody of the kid. And then she changed her mind or some shit like that. How true that is, I don't know. That's alleged. But I would think Chris didn't want anything to do with Sebastian, bro. I don't think he wanted Sebastian in that fucking house, bro. He was probably gonna leave, old girl. Like, man,
it's either me or the kid.
Yeah, some shit like that, bro. Because think about it. If you remember, Chris didn't even want Faith, bro. He wanted Nina to have an abortion. She said, man, you crazy as hell. So what make you think he wants somebody else's kid who got, problems, health issues? No, I don't want that. I don't know, man. But yeah. I just want to, bring up this information, which, a lot of people may know. It's been a minute since I've been on this case. And I just wanted to go back and see what was the latest and see what I can put together, add with what I already knew. And it goes right back to the same two evil motherfuckers in the interview. And I feel like the fact that law enforcement, and I know you say, well, what is their motivation? What they got to gain from it? I don't know. They loyal to their friend. I don't know. But they can only get away with this if LE ain't doing shit about it. Because there's no way. There's no fucking way. Because if he would have left in the garage, that's what I was going to tell y'all. Matter of fact, let me just play this before we get up out of here. If he would have left in the car, let's say when she searched around the house when she woke up and couldn't find him, she got in her vehicle. Let's say he didn't leave around that 3:10 time where we seen flashlights and shit. The other opportunity is when she got in the car and pulled off and pretend to look for him. Now, boss, why the fuck you say pretend to look for him? I'm gonna show you. Now, anybody in this chat, you can answer as well, YJ. And I think I already asked you this question, so you already know where I'm going with this. If you're out in your vehicle looking for your kid, you're driving, what are you doing as you drive and look for your kid?
It's gonna be a very slow pace, hazard lights on, because you can't drive going 30 miles an hour, and very slow pace, hazard lights on, and maybe screaming out every now and again.
Stop again.
Something
What
of
you
the
said?
sort.
You
Something
said
of the
doing
sort.
what? You said
Maybe screaming out, depending on if you feel like this was a place where he could potentially be outside, then yes, you would be screaming out, yelling outside the window, screaming his name. When was this exactly, as far as from the night to this? Was this the next day? Or?
this was that morning.
Oh, the next morning, yeah. So it's still fresh. It's still fresh. You're going to put your hazard lights on. You're going to ride at a very slow speed so you don't miss nothing visually. And yeah,
But
I would say
you
that.
said if she's yelling out, well, she should be. I would. Just in case, he's autistic. I'd have put on his favorite goddamn song and just bam that bitch through the neighborhood. But no, her fucking windows is rolled up, bro.
And even that type of search tactic to me is like, even with the windows down, you screaming, you going 10 miles an hour, hell, you screaming wherever he at, he gonna have to run toward the car, hell, 10 miles an hour, you gone anyway. The whole.
This is just the neighborhood.
That's what I'm saying. Even if they got the windows down, say she had the windows down and he was right behind that house we see behind there. If she got the windows rolled down and she was screaming, Sebastian, going 5 miles an hour.
She's got to turn back
By
around.
the time.
She got to turn back around. At the end of her road is a cul-de-sac. She got to turn back around.
That's what this is?
Yeah.
This picture? Okay. Well, all I'm saying, you got to
think about this, Watch. I didn't mean to cut you off. This is a neighborhood, and I want to say it's one way in and one way out. And anybody in the chat know better than me, correct me if I'm wrong. At this time, she's looking for him. Kids getting ready to get on the bus, so they get in the cars to go with their mom. Go with their mom to school or whatever. If he runs out of somewhere, somebody gonna fucking see him.
Yeah.
So if she kept riding, he happened to come out and she's gone. He don't know where she at. She gonna come back. Hey, you see my kid? Yeah, he's right. He was just right here. Boom.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
Right here.
Right. Yeah. The reason I say that is just because, just the way law enforcement doesn't go. But this is not law enforcement. This is a civilian. So they don't search how law enforcement searches. It's just one lady in a car. So I don't know. I don't know how much, I guess, stock I can put in it, just because this is a civilian. Civilians don't think like police officers. I don't think she should be searching in no damn car in the first place on no main road. I'll be searching in woods and all back through, looking, and even though a person in that position, they wouldn't want to look for something that's laying on the ground. That's what I would think you would want to look for everything. The main road, and I get it though. It just shows what you're saying with the windows up. It kind of shows, that she wasn't really looking. She was looking, but she wasn't looking, type of thing.
Right. Yeah. I think anybody who is looking for anybody, the windows are going to be down. I don't give a fuck if it's cold outside. The windows are down. I think that's just natural. Man, I don't give a fuck how cold it is. My kid is outside somewhere. And this right here shows me also, because, and I was like, this is the part I was looking for in Bobby's interview. She said she stopped one of the neighbors and asked her, did she see her son? Now, for me, in a sense, that eliminates that when she pulled out that garage, he was in his car, bro. And that was one of the things I thought. But looking at the back of the car, it's tinted windows, but are you really going to take a chance? Pull up next to someone, ask did they see your kid, and give them the opportunity to look in your fucking car and see your kid dead in the back seat? Fuck no, you're not going to do that.
No. Hell no.
So I'm damn this close of eliminating that she got up and took him out the house that morning. I'm back to 310, and maybe he didn't even make it back to the house on the steakhouse. That's where I'm at with it.
That would be more plausible, I would say. I would say that. That would be more plausible to me.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. That's all I got for tonight. I'm always be looking for updates on the case and any other case. We still got Carmelo, that case. Definitely waiting for a little trial on that.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. D Love, Marley 13, just a girl with a frog. I appreciate all y'all for sliding through. Nikki knew slid through earlier.
Yeah.
And anybody else who watched the live on replay. You got any last words, bro?
Yeah, I just hope, when I be, coming with these questions, man, people don't be looking at me side-eyed and shit, in the audience. Cause I know I know Boss Man, D Love, she know how I am, when it come to these things. Cupcake, she know how I am. What Cupcake called me? The contrarian. The contrarian. That's what she called me. So, if I get the case, man, I'm a look at it from my standpoint, be pragmatic and be vigilant for the sake of the true crime, community crime network, man. Protect your peace. This is Boss Man Blake, and I'm out. No, I'm just saying.
I actually like when you do that, because there are some people who want to cover all ground before they even land at a point and say, "This is what I'm with." Anybody don't make you think that they ain't helpful to me. So it doesn't bother me when you ask those type of questions.
Yeah. Definitely. That's what's up, man. Salute. Let me come up here and chop it up about this thing. We'll be back one time for the one time,
Absolutely. But we're gonna go and get up out of here. Thank you, D Love. Best moderator in the goddamn world. Appreciate y'all. We up out of this thing, man. Be easy. Y'all know. Protect your people.